Well, Peter, thank you very much indeed, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to this annual conference. It's great to be here to talk with you and to hear about the fantastic things that you are all doing. The world around us, I think, is truly changed by what you do, and it's important to bear that in mind all the time. It's NCVO's 100th birthday next year. And it was around this time, 100 years ago, that discussions were taking place about how voluntary social work could be better organized. Conferences like this one took place as people came together in very difficult circumstances to discuss new charities, such as SAFA, for example, the Armed Forces charity, which could work alongside the government of the day in aid of those most in need. And NCVO was, of course, born of these conversations. And as we have for nearly 100 years, we're once again coming together to discuss how we can construct a better society, how we can work together to build it, how we can make a bigger difference to the people of this country, how we can address their concerns, and how we can help them join in the activities that make them happier and healthier. We can work together to build that better society. Charities and voluntary organizations, of course, bring people together, and they will, in my view, continue to unite us in the future. And it's this theme, how we bring people together in modern Britain, that I want to focus on today. We've always brought people together. Charities and volunteering are enduring, but then so are the big problems that we face. Our upcoming centenary next year is not purely a cause for celebration, although I'm sure there'll be quite a lot of that. NCVO's members are dealing with some of the most pressing problems that face our society, what you might term the new 5 giants: housing, the insidious impact of poverty and inequality, health and social care systems overwhelmed by demand, social isolation and the challenge of loneliness, and the impact of climate change. We all want to do something about these and countless other issues. We all take small steps each day to make a difference, whether checking in on an elderly neighbour or thinking carefully about who we buy from. But that only gets us so far. Today's problems need concerted action. Tackling them needs resources, it needs mobilisation, and it needs action. And they require action from the neighbourhood, where many of our members are deployed, to the international world, where others function. That's why you in this room bring people together, to organise them, to unite them against the social and economic injustices of our time, to help them make a bigger difference than they could on their own. So I want to celebrate the work that we do, to bring people together, to celebrate the difference that we make. And I want to celebrate the fact that we offer something different, something distinctive, something valuable. So let me turn to my first theme, the challenges that we face and how we will overcome them. For everyone in this room, it's been a troubling start to the year. The safeguarding allegations faced by international development charities and then, to a certain extent, by domestic organisations have once again shone a light on this sector, and its glare has not always been comfortable. The scrutiny has been difficult and intense. Our moral legitimacy and leadership as charities has been questioned. Does the way we conduct ourselves while at work fit with the values that we share with our supporters? Have we put reputation and branding above service to our beneficiaries? Are we more interested in winning contracts than reducing dependency on the services of those who benefit? To add to the challenge of whether we are trustworthy, Our basic competency in matters of safeguarding has also been brought into question. These questions go to the heart of our existence, but we've not shied away from difficult questions in the past, and we will not do so now. It's now 3 years since I stood here and spoke about the difficulties that we faced in fundraising that shook the public's faith in charities. I said at the time, and I'll say it again, this form of scrutiny is the new normal. And whatever problems arise, scrutiny is a challenge, but it's a challenge that we in this room should welcome. On fundraising, we listened to the public's concerns and we acted on them. This is important. Putting our own house in order shows a level of maturity, and I think and pleased that there's a good story to tell here. New systems, I think, are working well, and the new fundraising regulator is both responsive and sensible. Fundraisers, on whom so many of us depend, should also, I think, be commended for adapting quickly to these challenges. If we cast our eyes even further back to public disquiet about salaries in the largest charities, we acted quickly to review how we could approach senior executive pay. Again, not an easy subject, and one which the public has very strong feelings about. Some large charities have taken our advice on board, publishing details of their top earners, but also crucially describing how their trustees arrived at that decision. Others should follow, and I would encourage all to do this. Regardless of whether regulation compels us to, we should think clearly about what we pay and why, and place this in the public domain. To my mind, there are no good reasons not to do this. Then we can move the debate on. As a country, as a sector, we should be just as concerned, for example, about low salaries for those who work in charities. Our fantastic social care charities are struggling to pay the living wage under the current contracting regimes. Even the likes of Serco are losing millions of pounds here. So we should be asking questions about low pay and how we ensure that people are not exploited in the name of charity. Transparency can drive positive change. There are many positive indications about how the gender pay gap reporting is prompting organisations to take action. We're accustomed to asking difficult questions of others, but we need to make sure that we also ask questions of ourselves. I don't think there's a single organisation in this room or beyond that hasn't reflected on their work and how they can improve. On safeguarding, the first thing I want to say is that we can do something. These are difficult but not impossible questions to address. We must get the culture of safeguarding right. This is not just about protecting vulnerable people, it's about making our charities a safe place for everyone. And it's for all of us, whether we're large or small, domestic or international. There's much to build on. The excellent work of such organisations as UK Youth, the NSPCC and the Scouts will help us to get this right. The NSPCC already help many small charities with safeguarding policies and practices. And I believe such collaborations between large and small charities are an important basis for the future of our sector more generally. NCVO, working alongside our colleagues in government and the Charity Commission and with our members, will also help to build safeguarding knowledge and capacity across the sector. As part of that, we've asked Dame Mary Marsh, a former Chief Exec of the NSPCC, to lead the development of a code of conduct that we can all work to, ensuring that our values are reflected in our behaviour, that we are living our values. We want this to work for every organisation, whether you're in social care, arts, heritage, development or conservation. We want to make it clear to everyone that we take these issues seriously and that we aim for the highest possible standards. The cost of failure is simply too high. I want no charity to fail in this important challenge for want of advice and support, and I'm confident that we can work to address this without delay. So we have widened the practical advice and support that we offer, and we've made it available to charities for free. So getting policies and procedure in place is important. Getting culture and leadership right is even more important, as my colleague, the Chief Executive of NCVO, made clear in a recent article. Indeed, a failure to recognise our role as leaders might lead to a tick box approach that will drive out the people who give their time that we are so dependent upon. Culture comes from the top. For all the leaders in this room and beyond, we have to set the standards that we expect of others in relation to how we work and how we protect our staff, our volunteers, and our beneficiaries. This is not because in the age of scrutiny we'll be found out, or because the public rightly have higher expectations of us than other sectors. It is because it's the right thing to do. I want us to be here in 100 years' time, but we must demonstrate effective moral leadership. We must recognize it, nurture it, promote it, particularly in the way that we teach the next generation of leaders. And we must support the leaders and charities that are doing the right thing and embracing new scrutiny. The charities that are accountable and transparent. Even if this means we hear more about things that have gone wrong, almost an inevitable consequence. Supporting moral leadership in charities and voluntary organisations includes supporting those who challenge from within, whether they're paid staff, trustees, or volunteers. It's more important than ever that we listen to all of those voices, even when the messages are difficult. I've argued that people find common cause through the experience of getting involved. It is charities and voluntary organisations and community groups that enable them to turn their interest into action. We help people to make a difference to the causes that they care about. And I've also argued that we need to challenge ourselves and sometimes change ourselves if we're to be central to solving the problems that society faces. And yes, despite the issues we face, we are the solution to many of society's problems. And it is our role as problem solvers that I now want to turn. We can do more to champion volunteers and volunteering and charities. We can do more to help people understand how we work. And we can do more to make the case that a vibrant and engaged sector is the best way to strengthen modern Britain. I'm especially keen that we clearly articulate the benefits of people getting involved as active citizens and volunteers. I think we're pushing at an open door. People want to be involved. We're increasingly aware that it benefits our well-being both as individuals and collectively as a society. An increasing number of us are coming to the same conclusion, that across society, not just in public services, we're losing human interaction. Technology has increased the scale and pace of what we can achieve as individuals and as organisations. The self-service checkout, telephone banking, they make life easier, but we risk losing something quite important. As David Robinson so eloquently argues, we need to put people and human relationships back at the centre of so much of what we do. We need practices and habits that bring people together. And I believe that we can show this better than anyone. We have a vision of what the good society looks like, and we shouldn't be afraid to speak up about it. With your help, we can get the message out that the world is changed by our activities. But I don't want to stop at explaining why we're the solution. I want to grow our impact. I want us to have a bigger difference to the challenges that I've talked about. I've heard too frequently that there are too many charities. Complete nonsense. I've heard that there are just not enough volunteers. Completely wrong. If anything, we need more charities, more social enterprises, more cooperatives, more mutuals. We need a stronger civil society that is confident in speaking up, that is independent from government. And I'm convinced that people want to be involved. I'm convinced that people want to do good things, that they want to make a difference. Sometimes I think we make it difficult for them to do that. Sometimes I think we get in the way. It's important that we don't view the past year through the prism of the last few weeks. Yet we have challenges. Yes, we do. But we continue to deliver. We continue to make a difference. And we continue to be worthy of the public support and trust. The response to the Grenfell disaster and the attacks in London and Manchester showed how responsive communities can be, how people will always come together in times of need, and we should not forget that. They're challenging times, changing times, but that's an opportunity to look ahead. There are now a number of reviews in train that reflect on the role of charities and volunteering in our society. Every time I mention the number, somebody adds another 2. I think the current is 11 reviews, either published or underway. I think it's appropriate, once those are concluded, that we play a role in building consensus on where we go from here. And in our centenary year, we will, of course, reflect on the past, but more importantly, we will plan for the future. As civil society, we can unite around what we have in common, rather than focus on the differences that are characteristic of such a diverse sector. We have much to celebrate about charities, voluntary organisations, volunteering and community groups. Our role in mobilising people, deploying their time and talents, in building a sense of community. We are the solution to so many of the problems we see around us, and we could do much more. So join us in getting those around us involved in our communities, making a difference together. Join us in improving and reforming our sector, making it fit for focus on the future. And show the world that people are changed and the world is changed for the better through individuals coming together through charities and voluntary organisations. Thank you very much indeed.